Testing audio, testing audio. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you not hear me?
5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Did you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. My speakers are turned all the way down.
Okay.
Is the audio okay? Because I don't have my regular microphone hooked up. Should I get that or is it okay?
It's good enough.
Okay. All right. All right. Then AI companion. I just want to make sure that's all set up. Okay. All right. And it's 8 o'clock. How you been?
Now it's 11 o'clock.
Well, I'm very selfish.
Pretty soon we'll all be on Moon Standard Time.
Galactic Standard Time.
Yeah. It's interesting. Did you look into that story about establishing Moon Standard Time?
Not specifically, no, but I do know that
It's complicated, turns out.
I know. Just like establishing planetary IP, is a complicated issue as well.
Yeah. Timekeeping turns out to be a lot more complicated than you realize when you're very naive about it.
So what made you interested in that? You just ran across an article?
Well, there was a proposal because when they're planning eventually to build a permanent base station of some sort, whether manned or unmanned, probably unmanned initially. But whatever they do, they've got to deal with how do you keep track of what time it is when you've got people working, remotely from the different places on the Earth. And they realized they needed to come up with a standard for moon time and how to manage it and regulate it. And
Well, why not do the obvious thing first? I mean, obviously there's better long-term solutions, but if all your support is the Johnson Space Center or wherever the hell it is.
but it isn't. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And even so, the time travel, the speed of light is, what is it, 1.25 seconds or something? So you have to figure out, how do you want to keep it synchronized? And it's tricky for multiple technical reasons,
Yeah,
especially
sometimes on bad Zoom sessions, it already feels like 1 or 2 seconds.
right. But we're humans, and sort of computers want to keep in phase lock synchrony, to high frequencies,
but they can handle that delay. Computers are smart enough to handle that delay.
But you also have to deal with the fact that timekeeping in space is different than timekeeping on the Earth because the gravitational field's strength affects timekeeping, and you got to throw all that in.
They can also deal with that. They can also build in that delta.
Well, you basically have to run things at much lower frequencies. You have to stay away from frequencies that are so high that the phase drift becomes problematic and you get out of phase.
Not necessarily.
Think about
you don't have
think about how television signals are synchronized. The sync signal comes from the transmitter.
Yeah,
and your receiver has to
yeah. Okay, so it is complicated, but you don't have to deal with a fixed sync signal. You can actually infer the signal based on how you receive the waveform.
Yeah,
if it increases by 1%, you should be smart enough to be able to deal with that.
Right. For example, the clock in your computer runs independently and periodically resyncs. It doesn't stay synced all the time.
That's why we have NTP, I mean. Yeah.
Right. So the deal is, if you're sending a continuous signal, you can send the timekeeping along with it. If you're not sending a continuous signal, or you have multiple independent systems that have to keep time independently, then you've got to figure out what to do when you have to adjust the time signal.
The old solution, sync bits. There used to be sync bits.
Right.
Count this many sync bits and then start.
Right. So So that's for asynchronous stuff. You have to resync it for every packet or every transmission.
Anyway, for that, I'm sure we already have solutions.
Well, they'd had to develop one for the moon, especially for a variety of technical reasons that didn't apply to Earthbound systems.
Hey, Barry, if we can still get signals from Voyager, we can solve this problem. Okay, just go look up those guys that worked 40 years ago. Okay, they can solve this problem.
Right.
You know, we don't have to have the regular Joe Schmo solve this problem.
But phase lock synchrony is much more complicated than just frequency synchrony. Because if you're out of phase, it matters if you're out of phase on the electrical grid. When you hook up a new generator, it's got to be in phase with the existing system, or you got serious difficulties. So phase lock synchrony versus frequency synchrony is a big technical hurdle.
Yeah, most regular people can't handle that. You know, most people can't even get the phase wiring connect on their own audio systems.
Right, exactly.
And how far do I put it from the wall? You know, how many wavelengths do I put it away from the wall?
And we're talking about audio frequencies there, which is pretty low frequency. We're not talking about, you know, megahertz.
Some of those wavelengths are, you know, pretty long when you get to low frequencies.
Right.
Right. Like at 10 or 15 hertz, you know, what's the frequency of that in audio? I don't know, some number of meters, but
well, it's subaudible, but you can feel it. It's vibration.
You can feel it. That's right. That's the whole point. That's why people pay tens of thousands or sometimes, you know, way more than that for speakers.
Subwoofers so they can feel the vibration in their feet.
I mean, if that's that important, go buy yourself a concert hall, go buy yourself an orchestra, and go attend that performance, you know?
And that gives you vibrato. That low frequency is what gives you the vibrato.
Yeah, but a vibrato, you move your finger like this and you're modifying a 10 or 15 hertz signal. How much is that going to affect it? You know?
Yeah, that's if you're humans doing the vibrato, but if it's reproduction or organ
does vibrato? Only humans do vibrato. Everything else is not called vibrato.
I don't know. Does an electronic organ do vibrato? I think it does it. And
it can simulate it, but why? The whole point is to emulate a human performing something.
What's that term? Something bend? Pitch bend? There's a term in electrical organs for pitch bend, where you give it there's a lever that you can.
There's a roller, you know, that you can actually use to modify that.
Yeah, it gets tricky. Here is.
But the point is, not everybody has to solve that problem. Only one or two people need to solve that problem, and
then they have to.
That is a solution pattern that we don't apply to most other domains. Okay.
Well, that's a standardization issue.
Right, but it's also an issue of knowing that, hey, there's a few specialists that know how to solve a problem. And the problem is everybody thinks they have an opinion.
Yeah.
Right? They don't actually defer to the experts in simple things that people think they understand. They think, oh, well, I should have an opinion on this, even though I'm not educated. Meanwhile, the PhD that's got 9 years of experience and built several things and had multiple patents and, you know, is experimenting at the state of the art, he's supposed to have the same weight of opinion. You know, how fucking stupid is that?
You know, when analog TV went to color, the frame rate was no longer 30 frames a second. The field rate, I think, went to 59 point some decimal per second.
I don't understand that either. 59.7 or 59.9.
Yeah,
that option.
I can't remember why, but there was some reason why they couldn't do it at 60 hertz exactly.
But some systems give me both options. They give me a 60 hertz option and a 59.9.
Well, the newer systems do. But for a while, there was some crazy deal about, and there was this big fight over RCA's system and CBS's system and whoever else had a system. So
okay, here's a trivia question for you. What's the difference in signal strength and signal quality between RCA signal coming across those RCA connectors versus an XLR balanced cable? Do you understand that?
I'm not sure if I know what XLR is.
It's a 3-pin cable, supposedly at even a higher gauge. That's what surprised me. And it's supposed to have a much better, much cleaner signal.
Is that a balanced pair versus
yes, Yes. That's
see, balanced pair is important in telephony They
Mhm.
had to introduce balanced pair and telephony to deal with longitudinal noise. So you solve the problem of longitudinal noise using the balanced pair, balanced to ground, so that the perturbations in the ground don't matter because everything rides, both sides are riding
Yeah, they'll
around
do
the
this.
local
Yeah,
ground.
yeah.
So you don't have to deal with longitudinal ground noise. And when I first learned about that, that's not easy to understand. You understand the concept in a kind of a general way, but how it actually works at a mathematical way or engineering way, that was not easy to understand.
So theoretically, how much cleaner can the signal be versus the regular RCA unbalanced signal?
And that I think has to do with how bad the noise, the longitudinal ground noise is, because that's what you're fighting.
Suppose you're plugged into the same wall source of power, okay? So it's got standard wall noise, power noise. So what does that translate to in the sense of, the actual audio signal coming across those cables?
I don't know, but I do know that FM radios use the line as an antenna. The cheap ones do.
Mhm.
Clock radios use the electric line as an antenna.
So I'm curious because I used to just use regular standard cables because I was too stupid to know any different. But now I recently discovered XLR cables, not only that they're much cleaner, but they seem to be a lot cheaper too. I don't even understand that.
Maybe because its manufacturing volume has superseded the antiquated RCA.
Maybe. Maybe I'm one of the slow converts that keep the prices of RCA cables high.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm slow to everything.
I mean, RCA was basically, if you were lucky to get 10 kilohertz audio without, loss of.
Really? You're supposed to get up to 44 kHz, I thought.
Well, maybe the modern ones do. Maybe the original ones didn't.
Why did they advertise, CDs quality and DVD quality at 44 kHz and expect that that means anything if the cables can't support that?
Well, generally speaking, your speaker wires weren't that long. They were, what, 5, 10 feet long to your
I'm
speaker.
not talking about speaker wires. I'm talking about the actual signal, the RCA signal wires, from the source to the preamp.
That's typically 3 feet or less.
Not always.
If it's component, it's never more than about 3 feet.
Got a stack of equipment. It could go 6 feet, and then plus the bends and plus the zip ties, it could potentially be 9 or 10 feet.
Potentially, but who has a 9 foot high rack with items
Audiophiles
completely?
Audiophiles, though. You take a look at audiophiles with their equipment, and that old saying, some people actually have equipment to listen to the music, and then audiophiles, they use their music to listen to their equipment. It's inverted. Yeah.
It was never much into high fidelity. I mean, there are people who were very much interested in music and have an ear for high quality music. I grew up on AM radio, popular music, and I never really developed that ear for symphonic music.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just the advances there are just astonishing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I first learned my appreciation for your music on one of these little 10-inch by 4-inch by 5-inch little sat on top of the refrigerator. It was a single speaker radio, and it just went FM to the university classical station. And that's where I learned to love classical music.
Yeah. We didn't have classical music in Omaha, to my knowledge. I think I first began listening to classical music when I was at Stanford.
It can't be right. That can't be right.
I could be. I mean, well, first of all, when I was growing up, we only had AM. I'm not sure when we began to get FM. I may not have had FM until I was out of college.
Wait, are you a decade older than I am? Are you?
I'm almost 80 years old.
This year I will turn 65.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn 80 in January.
Ooh,
So I'm 15 years older than you. I'm trying to remember when we got FM. If I was still in Omaha. I mean, I was in college until 1968, and I'm not sure when we began to get FM radio. I don't remember now. I'm pretty sure I had FM radio when I was at Stanford, I'm pretty sure I had a car with, I'm not sure. I think I had a car with an FM radio receiver, but I'm not actually sure.
You had a car in college? Wow. That's
No, in grad school.
oh, in grad school. That's
Actually,
still-
I had a 59 Chevy when I was a senior.
Wait, what years was that at Stanford? What years?
Stanford was late 68 until about 75.
Interesting. You just missed my dad. My dad was there from like 62 or 63 to about 65 or 66.
Yeah.
He was there getting his PhD in math.
I really don't remember the first car that had an FM radio in it. I don't remember anymore. I can remember when we had tube AM radios in cars. Sort of the early 50s before transistors became available.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember listening to the radio in the car back then.
Yeah.
Hey,
But in those days, we were listening to popular music stations anyway.
can I change subjects?
Yeah, please do.
Last week, for the record, Kayla came for a few minutes.
Oh,
She
oh yeah.
disappeared without saying anything. So I actually said, "Hey, Kayla," I messaged her separately saying, "Did we bore you?" And evidently, she left because no one acknowledged her. Even though when
I saw her come on.
I waved at her, but she said she didn't see my wave.
Yeah, I saw her come on, and I mentally noted it, but I can't remember if I suggested that we pause and say hello. She didn't have a
I don't
camera.
think we did. We didn't do that last week. So I think she felt like she was not seen. So I know this is on record, but if she does appear today, I think it would be good for us to welcome her.
Yeah, I usually try to pause. I usually try to pause and say hello to her. I'm not sure if I did that last week.
I know I did wave to her, and anyway, she said she didn't see the wave.
Yeah, I usually do too, but well, you've got the video. You can go back and look at the video and see if either of us waved.
Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to say that to the record, just so if Kayla shows up, then we could all welcome her warmly.
Showed up and no one acknowledged me. I'm so bad. I'm gonna go. See you guys later.
And he turns off his camera.
That's actually not true. I think I did wave.
No, I know. I'm kidding. I'm joking. That was a joke. No, I saw her. I saw her come in. I think we were in the middle of some sort of intense conversation. Everyone was talking, and then by the time we finished that, and we went to acknowledge her, she was gone, and we acknowledged that she left.
I noticed that she had disconnected. I think I may even have mentioned it, but there was nothing in the chat saying I have to go or anything. Usually she says,
I did message her separately.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
We will greet her well if she comes in today. So.
Okay. Barry, maybe you could bring the cake. I'll bring some beer.
Bring the cake. Cake and beer. That's just like it goes together.
Whose birthday is it? That sounds like a birthday party.
It's a welcoming party, right?
Sure.
We
had a birthday party yesterday.
We should invent a little jingle, not like the happy birthday song, but something that we can all learn and sing.
Yeah. That's what we do on Clubhouse.
Happy welcoming to you.
Kayla, oh, Kayla, it's good to see you here.
A popular song that's got Kayla in it.
Why don't we ask ChatGPT to compose the lyrics of a song to welcome Kayla?
That's what I was saying. There you go.
You guys can use Udio or one of those. They'll make a full song about her, like welcome the whole thing in any style you want.
That I can't carry a tune, so.
No, you don't carry the tune. You just tell it what to do, what style you want it in, what music to play, what pattern. It'll do the whole thing. They'll sing it, everything.
Oh, well, then it can do one of my song parodies too.
And maybe you could give it a voice print and it can emulate you.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you look up, what was the woman's name? Helen. I remember last week we mentioned this woman who had a YouTube video about a voice synthesizer that could do her voice, her singing voice. and beyond her natural range.
I don't remember that, but I don't.
You might not have been on when we talked about it. It might have been just, you were gone for the whole time. Was it last week or week before last? When you had to drive,
Could have been. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I forget which day, I think,
Gail's
whatever
medical
day.
status changed, so she had to go to the clinic in a unanticipated manner. So I had to help her with that last week.
Now I've forgotten the name, but Holly was her name, I think.
Actually, so I long ago, maybe over a year ago, I encountered something called Chat All that I told Sam and you guys about that basically aggregates a bunch of different LLMs locally. So I have to install something. And I know there's lots of different ways you can do that. But now there's many services that'll actually do that on the web. One of them is Poe. You guys use Poe, or how many of
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
I use one called Pi. There's Pi and Po.
Yes.
There's Pi and Poe. Yes, there is.
There's probably UChat, which also does that too as well.
Yeah.
And
I went back to my software for web development. And they added AI into everything.
Yeah. I've been using Gemini mainly because for some reason or other, I just sort of found it the easiest one to use recently. And Gemini seems to be able to read real-time news pages and real-time YouTube channels that have just been published that same day and things like that. I don't know if the others can do that yet or not.
Yeah. If you get the new Google iPhone Pixel, they added multimodal to keep up with ChatGPT. You can point the camera at things and it will tell you what's around your surroundings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It reminds me that Starlink, if you guys have Starlink in the recent versions of the app, it actually has this nice feature where you can walk around your house and it'll track your location and the signal strength back to your base station. So you know how far your Wi-Fi extends at what strength. So you can determine whether or not you need a mesh or you need a relay or something like that. I thought that was a pretty cool.
Yeah, the Linux Wi-Fi will report your bit rate on your Wi-Fi. The others don't. The other operating systems don't have that feature, but Linux does.
Yeah.
Let me see. That reminds me, YouTube actually lets you do stats for nerds. Have you run across that? So
I've
that
heard
can
about
see
Yep.
how many frames you've actually dropped and what bandwidth you're actually connecting.
Oh.
In case you want to know that, in case you're a nerd.
We sort of need that for the community center. When we have these hybrid meetings in the community center, we have these passages where the internet connectivity, either the Wi-Fi or the actual internet, becomes quote unquote unstable. And Zoom will report your internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, it's
And
been
it
doing
will
that for years.
make the picture smaller.
Zoom will do that. It has done that.
Yeah.
By the way,
And
that
then-
relates to the MST, the Moon Standard Time that you were talking about earlier.
Right.
They can
That
actually-
happens at the community center. It doesn't happen at my house. Josh.
I have a question. I just saw the specs for the new iPhone coming out and it said it supports Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7. Do you guys know what Wi-Fi 7 is?
Never heard of it. Haven't looked
I
at
guess
it.
it's some new standard
I
coming out.
could ask Gemini. Gemini probably knows.
Okay, I'll find out. I just haven't had a chance to look it up. It came to my mind that the latest, I have to get the latest hardware to run the latest Apple Intelligence. So
Yeah.
5 to 10 years ago, there was some rumor, I forget the name of it. There was supposed to be like Wi-Fi, but it would cover areas that are, miles by radius instead of just your
oh
home.
wow.
Yeah, that's more like radio telephony. That's longer. You can do Wi-Fi if you make a beam, like a microwave beam. That's tricky to do. And
But
it's
this
not
is supposed to let you have like Wi-Fi level bandwidth. But the cell would actually have ranges of up to miles. And that was why I was curious about it.
yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. It's like
Yeah.
wide area something or other, I think was the name of it.
Maybe in rural areas, like if you're on the farm or something.
Yeah, but imagine, then you wouldn't need all this cabling.
It'd be amazing for our property. That'd be incredible.
But like where I live in a condominium with 54 units, I can see my neighbor's signals, and the Wi-Fi base station can sort of find the quietest channel. And on 5 gigahertz, it's easy to find a quiet channel. On the 2.5 or 2.4, there aren't that many channels, and it's hard to find the quietest one.
Well, what's interesting is now there's Starlink phones now. They're beginning to be available. So now you can actually have a phone that'll talk directly to Starlink, and you can avoid T-Mobile or AT&T, whatever. I don't know what they're going to charge for that connection, but it'll probably start up very
Does
high.
it take a lot of power to send a signal all the way to
You would think.
miles
You would think.
to the air?
Although, antennas are pretty good these days.
Well, if they're real-time directional, so even as you're moving your iPhone around, if it can stay electronically steering, which I think some of these fractal antennas can do. That's something I haven't.
In a small form factor, that's really impressive.
Yeah, I know that these fractal antennas, which I've heard about, I haven't really studied to see how they work, are supposedly better than your classical wire, like on your.
Have you taken a look at any of these specs or videos or whatever that actually show you how many layers and what they each do in a Starlink antenna? It's really impressive what the technology they pack into that antenna.
Yeah, I haven't looked into that stuff.
Yeah, they just dropped in price too if you want one, Barry.
Well, I don't really need one. I mean, I'm not moving around.
Just to play with. It's just not for functionality.
I have Verizon Fios for less than $100 a month, which includes, by the way, in the last week, I'm getting so many damn spam phone calls on my landline. Like Thursday, it rang, I think, maybe a dozen times with spam phone calls.
Ask ChatGPT to write a script for that, and then put it on an app in your phone.
This is a landline.
Well, ask it to write an app for that and put it on the BIOS system on your landline phone.
I have Nomo Robo, but on Thursday there were a whole bunch of calls that Nomo Robo didn't catch. But
they ask you if you want to vote for Kamala in the DNC. Is that because I know they're going hard on that?
The thing is that if the caller ID is the name of a town, then I know it's bogus. And a lot of times I get these that they're better at spoofing the caller ID, and so Nomo Robo doesn't know that it's spam.
Well, just hook up an old school tape recorder on it and send it to voicemail.
First of all, I don't pick up, and I have voicemail, but voicemail, if they disconnect after 4 rings, which they often typically do, spam phone calls basically will ring less than the number of times that you get your voicemail to kick in.
I'm saying break their system, like have it pick up the phone, say, hold on 1 second, I'll be right there. Have it wait for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then have it transfer the call afterwards to another phone number, and then just spam the spammer.
Lock up their lines. My dad used to do it. Anytime he gets one of these, he just puts the phone on the dining table and just walks away.
That's it.
Let them just use up all their bandwidth until they decide, oh, this person's not responding.
Do you guys ever remember the famous Jerry Seinfeld episode where the spammer calls him and is asking him questions, and he goes, wait, I'm sorry, can I call, you bothering at my house, I don't like that. And then Jerry Seinfeld asks him, would you like it if I called you at your house and bothered you? And he's like, no. Well, now you know how I feel. Click.
There's a comic that actually has a whole shtick about how he responds to these spammers, and that's actually pretty funny.
There are people who try to reverse engineer the spammers and drive them crazy.
And there's at least 3 different versions. One is voice calls, another is texting, another is email spammers.
Right.
The email spammer one is really hilarious.
I just ask them if they're ready to give their soul to Jesus, and let's talk about converting to Christianity and see how that goes.
Right.
Now you've triggered me. Now I have to shut up.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm
I have to
famous
go
in my
recover
old
now.
company. No worries. No, my old company, we started this telemarketing company, and we hadn't quite got the lines up yet. We hadn't, the lines were working and active, but we hadn't published any advertisements for calls coming in. We were inbound telemarketing, and we got a random missed call, someone looking for Whirlpool for help on their refrigerator. And I sold them our product. So I was famous in our company because I got a wrong number and I sold them the product.
Yeah, there's a company near where I live. It might have been iRobot or a company like iRobot that had published a misprint of their phone number, which was my phone number. And for about a year, I would periodically get calls for that company until finally that piece of advertising, kind of faded from existence.
Yeah.
I think they were off by one digit or something.
Yeah, I was watching an interview with this famous hacker. He's like a good hacker for good kind of guy. And he was telling his life story. And he was saying how he used these call dialers to hack people. He could use every phone number in the state of Florida, and it took him 15 seconds to run through it. And I was wondering what program he was using. But it was a little, if people use their phone numbers for passwords, that's how he was hacking people.
Oh. I'll tell you the spam phone calls though, especially because my landline, I've had my landline for 35 years. So, it's been out there for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the reasons I use Google Voice, is I can tag one, and then from there on out, I know that it's a spammer. Plus, Google Voice also has identified likely spammers and will tell me, likely spam, so that I can just ignore it.
So anyhow, lots of things that create nuisances and annoyances. So who did your finger painting background? Is that something local by?
Somebody on the internet. I stole it from the internet.
Oh, you stole it from an anonymous.
A wallpaper site, probably.
Okay.
Hey, speaking of which, actually, anybody have any reaction to the DNC that just ended a couple days ago? Since we spoke about,
I loved it. I'm full of hope and change. I'm ready to go.
I didn't watch it, but of course I caught the headlines about it and the snippets.
so if you wanted to, you could certainly follow it on YouTube quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to listen to the speeches, you can. They're almost all up on YouTube. At least the big ones are up on YouTube.
Yeah. I do think she's the only one that's viable to vote for, but I'm still not happy with the position of the Democratic ticket and what they've done with the last 3 or 4 years in various different issues. But clearly, they're better than the alternative.
Well, yeah, anything is better than having an idiot narcissist in power.
Did you
I did see that
the,
RFK endorsed Trump.
Yeah, I did. It was in Arizona yesterday, was it? Yesterday afternoon?
I believe so.
Yeah. He basically said he doesn't have enough money. And he wanted to get out of the states where he was drawing votes away from Trump, where he thought getting out would give Trump a possible edge.
Yeah, so if that was the case, then it's probably not materially going to take votes away from the Democratic ticket.
Yeah. There were 1 or 2 states where the pollsters said that him dropping out would hurt Harris rather than help Harris. But I don't know. I didn't really look into how.
Yeah, but everybody's
that.
biased on these talking shows. Nobody's a real journalist anymore.
I think the southern border states have their own local issues compared to, say, the northern labor states, for example.
Are they allowed to vote by mail this time?
Some states are. I think there's one state where it's being challenged.
Okay, I'm figuring again.
Where in
Sorry,
Massachusetts, we've had voting by mail and early voting in person here for a while now. I vote by mail now.
Yeah.
Didn't the MAGAs make a point about not allowing that?
Well, there were some states where they challenged it, partly because there was some confusion as to whether or not the state constitution expressly permits it, as opposed to requiring in-person voting. But that's
Wasn't Arizona last time that reduced the number of voting locations and made people stand in line for hours?
might have been Georgia.
Drive for hours to get to voting locations?
I think it was
Either
Georgia.
Arizona or someplace else.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Yeah, that was a situation, at least in one or two states. And that's called weaponizing the electoral mechanism. the
And
voting.
there was an attempt to try and criminalize giving people standing in line
Oh, yeah.
water.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't
That
stop
has-
it in my head.
Well, we don't really have a form of ethics that's universally adopted as a value system in this country. Ethics is not a universal value system. It's a minority value system.
Yeah, I found an interesting book called One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 1, and then they have One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 2. It's quite enlightening.
Yeah.
That's curious. I've never run across that. What's the major points they make?
The major points is that after World War II, there was a restructuring of the way the mafia and the newly formed agencies like the NSA, the CIA, and all the heads, and Herbert Hoover and all this blah blah blah. They were kind of in bed with each other because they were fighting each other before World War II, and they had to coalesce after World War II.
No, there was one
So it
thing called
goes-
the OSS. So there wasn't the NSA back. There was an OSS
Correct.
that turned
Correct.
into the CIA, and the NSA was later.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying is how those agencies were formed, and what they used to do is their jobs, meaning the government was supposed to stop the mafia, but it was better to work with the mafia because they got more done. And then there's all sorts of famous stories and movies and of CIA operatives that were in the mafia that turned state's evidence and were working for the CIA. Whitey Bulger is one of the famous ones.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm saying there's famous cases like that, but it goes deeper. Like when you look into it, it goes a lot deeper than that.
Somebody's
Hello, Kayla.
Hi.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
waving.
How's it going?
I'm waving at you, Kayla.
Huh? Oh.
Oh,
Carry on. It's okay.
Nope. We composed a song for you, and we would play it, but we don't embarrass you to
Okay.
welcome you. Welcome Kayla to the
Oh my gosh.
GCC. Okay, no one's
Were
singing
you
with
guys
me. All right.
talking about me about last
Yes,
Sunday?
we talked
well,
about it.
we noticed that you had joined and disconnected both silently, and then we didn't pause to say hello last time. That's all I think we did. Might have waved.
Oh yeah, no worries. I was really tired. Honestly, I didn't think you guys saw me. But then again, I didn't.
Yeah.
I
saw
see.
you, and I also saw when you disconnected. I go, oh, Kayla disconnected. And then
Yeah, so I was like, well, maybe they don't see me, and I don't need to say bye.
Well, I noticed it was the top of the
Like,
hour. I
bye.
thought, oh, you probably had something to do at the top of the hour anyway. So
You know me. I just, I don't like goodbyes. To me, it's like really weird and awkward.
Yeah.
So I only say goodbye out of obligation because I know people like it. But oftentimes, if there's a lot of people and if they're engaged in something, I'll just leave, and then I'll later be like, "Sorry, I had to go." So, anyways,
Well, we noticed you.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just triggering Sam. I keep mentioning things and he keeps getting triggered. So
Oh, is that why you're?
You just triggered me again.
There you go. See, I just did it again. I keep doing it. I can't help it. I'm not
Sam
trying
has
to.
a
It's
hair
not on
trigger
purpose.
on sensitive topics.
You guys
Controversial.
know the sign? Isn't there a song that says, "Nobody likes me, everybody hates me"? Where's it? There's a song like that, I think.
I don't know that song.
Not recognizing it.
I probably
I
don't
only
sing
know.
it.
Well, there's
Yeah,
the
I only
song
know.
short people got no reason to live. Remember, there's a
I remember that song. Maybe
Yeah.
it's that song.
forget who sings it, but
There's a song called Creep. Trying to think if that's it.
That's a great song, actually. My friends have been covering that song.
Okay, here you go. I think I found it. Guess I'll go eat worms.
I guess I'll go eat worms.
Yeah, that's the next line.
I'm pretty sure I don't know that song. It's kind of gross.
Oh, here we go. I found it. I'm posting it in the chat. Oh, there's nothing posted to the chat yet today. Okay, so the first thing posted to the chat will be the lyrics of this song.
No, I don't
Nobody
recognize
likes
this
me,
song.
everybody hates me. I think I'll go eat worms. Big fat juicy ones, eaty weeny squinty ones. See how they wiggle and squirm.
Is it a kid song?
Yeah.
Sounds like something Calvin would sing in Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin's way too smart. He's smarter than I am.
I mean, he'll tell the little girl at school that his lunch is worm sandwich or something like that, bug sandwich.
Maple leaf. Sorry. If it weren't advertising related, I'd actually play this. So anyway, Kayla, I was asking Barry and Josh if they had any reactions to DNC or whether they watched any part of it this past week.
It was pretty lit. That's all I know.
There you
Really
go. That's what I
interesting.
said. That's what I said. I'm all full of hope and change. Let's go. I was like, is Obama running again? Let's go.
Yeah, I heard that the Obama's talk was very well received, highly lauded talks.
Oh, it was great.
They're all available on YouTube if you want to go back and see any part of it.
Oh yeah, I saw them prominently listed at the top of the page on YouTube.
Yeah, I saw an analyst, one of those like political pundit people, and he was talking about Kamala Harris, and he said, "Can I just be honest? I'll probably lose my job for this, but nobody in the Democratic Party wanted to step up and knock Harris out of that position because nobody wants to go against a woman or an African American woman, and it's just no possible way that anyone else would step up, period." And I think that was a great political strategy.
Well, some of that also was at play when Obama was running.
Exactly. That's why Hillary Clinton was so pissed off when Obama was running. That was her opportunity at that moment, 2008. That was, she worked hard for that.
But he came out of
I
nowhere.
still think
You know?
Bernie Sanders should have.
Bernie should have, yes. Thank you for saying that.
I still watch
I
him.
cried. I cried that night that he didn't, when before the Democratic National Convention, that they didn't all stand up and protest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bernie was shafted
I-
by the DNC.
Yeah, that's what made me not like the DNC, was when they shafted Bernie. And then that book came out.
So corrupt. So corrupt. And then
Yeah.
Donna Brazile had her face on camera again, even after that whole DNC debacle. After she
They don't care. They have no shame.
provably corrupt.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's sad that both sides, and then Trump comes in and corrupts the whole RNC. And then the head of the RNC is now working for the Democrats. Did you see that black guy, Michael, that looks like a Muppet character? He switched parties from the Republicans to the Democrats. He was their head of the RNC.
HV4H. I just heard about that like the last 24 hours. Haley voters for Harris. There are Republican never Trumpers who number at least like 4 million, I think is what I heard. That are all, or at least the head of it is now pledging his support for Harris, since they're never Trumpers to begin with. You know, felt that Trump was corrupting the whole RNC party. So
Which he was.
Harris just picked up some support there.
He corrupts everything he touches.
Well, I'm creating a giant campaign for President Claude versus Grok in 2028.
Claude
We're
versus
headed.
Grok.
We don't have, you know, humans that can act well enough. We'd be better
I'm
off.
sorry.
I'm pretty. Yep. Sorry, Kayla. What?
No. Michael Steele, right?
Michael Steele is the guy. Yeah, he looks like a Muppet.
Yeah,
He looks
he does
exactly
look
like a Muppet. That's how
You
I
made me
know
look
him.
him up. Damn you.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he was like. I'm like, wait, now you're with the Democrats? Like, what happened?
No, I actually respect the guy for doing that, as opposed to
No,
all the people that are still part of the RNC.
Yeah, I mean, Trump really screwed up that whole party.
Yeah, and the problem is, why did
Yeah,
it take
they're
5,
totally
6, 7
screwed up.
years for some of this then to bubble up and say, okay, I've had enough? They should have realized that the first damn week.
I really highly encourage everyone to read that book, One Nation Under Blackmail, because it explains how all this stuff happened. It goes through the whole history from the 40s to now, and the Crown family and Jeffrey Epstein and blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of corruption, and it's gotten filthy. It's so filthy. It's so obvious. Before there was hidden under the surfaces. Now it's just obvious in plain sight.
Well, coercion and manipulation and blackmail. They're just different flavors of the same unethical practice.
Yeah.
You know, years ago, I tried watching for a few seconds the Idiots show about, you know, you're fired, you know. I couldn't take more than just a few seconds of it. I couldn't.
Oh,
I
it's
actually couldn't. So I don't understand how millions and millions thought that was entertaining, and, you know, whether or not they were learning anything about business or management or any crap like that.
No, it's reality TV. My friend worked on that show.
Reality TV is the best named category because it has nothing to do with reality.
My friends that work in reality television, their job is to make sure when they get drunk off the camera, they get just drunk enough to where they can turn the cameras on and it's still good TV. And that's their job as producers, to balance out. If they get them too drunk, it's just terrible. But if they don't drink enough, it's not entertaining. So there's this balance between, you know, how many cocktails they can have and then turn on the camera.
Categorically, for the record, I've not been able to watch any reality TV other than maybe just trying it for a few seconds or minutes at a time.
Well, it's terrible. It's the opposite of it's all staged. It's all okay. And now she's coming down the hallway drunk and he's over here. Okay. And the producers will grab the person and say, hey, go over to this part area. And then it's like mice in a cage. They're sticking them together and they turn the camera on.
And yet,
It's literally rats.
provably, I'm dumber than they are. People like the Kardashians, they can make millions and millions off of this, okay? I think I've got, quote unquote, principles, so I'm still poor. But they've made
No. Intelligence and ethics do not work well with crap TV.
society in general.
Yeah. Well, that's the popularity contest of what it all is. It's all heist.
Capitalism in general.
Yeah. It's personalities and it's high school. They stick them all in the same company and
Popularity, looks,
yeah. Yep.
bravado.
I learned that lesson. I was in a corporate environment and we had some Christmas holiday party. Everyone had a few to drink and everyone's very corporate and acting all, you know, thank you, sir, and yes, and just very corporate. And then they asked me to do a talent show. So I did my Tai Chi harmonica. And in order to do it, I had to take off my suit jacket. And all the women in the room started screaming, woo, take it off, take it off. And I was like, wait, where am I?
Wow, Joshua.
Well, I noticed that they were just drunk. There was all these married women that were like, hey, take it off. And then I was like, wait a second, this is the corporate world. I I need to tone this down. Like it was getting a little out of hand. It's just, it's like high school.
Middle school.
Yeah.
Is it true that weddings are a great thing to crash if you're a single guy?
Maybe.
If you know how to do it. If you have a friend on the inside, if you're friends with the groomsmaid or the bridesmaids,
Yeah,
like
but
the
then it wouldn't be
groomsmen or the brides.
crashing, right? You wouldn't be like.
Well, it's crashing if you're not invited, but if you're friends with someone who is invited, yeah, it's great. I've crashed quite a few weddings, Sam, and had a great time.
You probably lived that movie, Wedding Crashers.
No, I just showed up at a park one time and there was a wedding, and then I walked over and then they said, "Hey, come join us." And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, for weddings that are outdoors at a public place, yeah, no issue with that. I got no.
Or if you're at a hotel, that's where it would happen usually.
The only point of crashing a wedding would be to catch the garland if you're a guy, or to catch the bouquet if you're a girl.
Oh, nobody wants to do that anymore.
Yeah, don't they avoid it now?
Oh yeah. They don't even do it sometimes. My sister's a wedding coordinator or a day of wedding coordinator, and she says they don't really do that anymore.
It's passe
Right.
now.
But do they still fling the garter?
No. Yeah, no, they don't. No bouquet tossing, no garter thing. The younger
Just-
generation finds it kind of offensive now.
Huh.
Yeah.
So no taking off the garter under the dress anymore?
Yeah, yeah. No fighting over the bouquet.
Or the person of the opposite sex catches the item instead of the regular gender assignments.
There's a picture of me at 19 years old running for the fucking bouquet. Now that I look back at the picture, I just start laughing. I'm like, oh, if I knew what I know now.
Oh, does somebody have a video of that?
No, but it's an awesome action shot.
Were
I
you
gotta
in
dig it up.
midair,
I think
like, you know, leaping for a pass?
Yeah. Yeah, my hair is the wind, my feet are off the ground. Yeah.
Oh wow. Did you catch
Yeah.
it?
Hell no.
Oh,
I
well,
didn't.
there you go.
Well,
No,
because there were what, 13 other girls doing the same thing?
I wasn't fast enough.
well, we'll Photoshop it so you catch it.
No, thank you.
You have a wedding coming up, Sam, that you know about? You're thinking of crashing?
No, I don't get invited to weddings anymore. I think all my friends are either, they've all been weddinged out or they're not getting weddinged anymore.
Last
Yeah.
wedding was a couple from GCC that had a video streamed wedding about 4 or
Oh, I
5
did.
years.
Yeah, right. Last year, I went to Tammy Lee Myers and Harry's wedding. That was the
Yeah,
last thing I went to in Canada, 2 hours north.
yeah.
Oh, they streamed it? Live streamed it?
No, but I was there. I took some pictures. I did post some pictures at
Oh,
their 1 year
was.
anniversary.
It was live
50 or
streamed.
60 people that, you know, voted it up and liked it and that sort of thing. So
I remember watching it live stream, trying to see if I could catch a glimpse of you.
Oh, it
but I-
was live stream?
Yeah, and I
didn't
don't think
realize
I
it was
ever.
live
I
stream.
think I was looking closely to see if I could see you.
If
There.
you was the camera from behind the podium?
Camera was, well, they have more than one camera. I think they had somebody operating like 2 or 3.
They videotaped the whole thing, Sam, and made a little documentary on it.
I'm sure it's still on YouTube.
I haven't seen it. I don't know whether they caught me or
Yeah,
not.
go to
go to
YouTube
Tammy's YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
I recall that there was an issue with the handheld mic at one point that you couldn't hear the person giving speeches and toasts for a while because they had the wrong mic or some crazy thing.
In fact, I think Tammy or Harry or maybe both of them actually noted that they met via GCC calls across the internet. So I made reference to that too when I spoke for a few seconds.
Nice. It looked like a nice wedding from what I saw.
Very nice,
That's
very
great.
outdoors, very green.
Very earthy, very hippie. I liked it.
And even Gail noticed she has never, for the record, seen a happier face on a man about to get married than Harry's.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Aw.
Yeah.
They were both happy.
That's
Also,
Yes.
Tammy too.
Yep. Yep. But Harry was beaming that day and still beaming.
That's beautiful.
He's a happy, happy man.
Is that his first marriage?
No,
I guess that's none of my business.
no.
I think it's his best marriage. I don't know if it's his first one.
Aw.
They took their time. That's yeah, there's been a few marriages off of that Clubhouse app where people were talking for a couple years and then got together.
Yeah, interesting.
It's kind of like Love is Blind because you can't see the person, you just hear their voice.
I think that's the only GCC couple that got married, as far as I can tell. Who else would
Well,
there?
maybe me and Colin will get married.
Are you still dating?
No, I haven't talked to him in years. I need to call him up. Maybe when I call him up, we'll have this big romance and
See, that's the
find that
problem. You
we'll
know,
profess
you
our
don't,
love
you
for
don't
each
text
other.
back, you don't call back the next morning, Josh. That's the problem.
I know. Well, Barry didn't call him back after his 12-hour conversation.
Boy, what a disaster that was.
Yeah,
Still,
where is
I'm still-
Colin?
Still traumatized from that episode.
I miss all our GCC people. I miss
Yeah.
I think I drove them all away.
nah, not all of them.
No.
You could have a reunion if you want, Sam. I think
Yeah, just put it out there.
What's Daniel Harris doing?
Oh, I just had a recent interaction with Anna just last week.
How's she doing?
The reason being, I noticed that many of her personal calendar appointments and events were showing up on the GCC calendar. So I told her, I said, Anna, are you aware that you're putting your events in the GCC calendar? She wasn't aware. So now they're gone. But for years, I guess she'd been doing that and nobody noticed.
Nobody
Interesting.
notices is the thing that's worth noticing.
It's a
Speaking of that,
compliment on
where's
GCC.
Aaron Perlmutter, the guy that started the Facebook group?
Probably in some village somewhere, some intentional community. That's
I
my
would hope
guess.
so. I'm concerned about that guy. I need to call him up because that's how I got to GCC is I got to know Aaron really well.
Why be concerned?
There's a lot of reasons. I don't want to talk publicly, but we can talk privately.
Oh, going back to politics, I have an event that I'm putting together on Tuesday. Our local DA is going to be there. Council people are going to be there. Assembly people are going to be there. And it's really to showcase our parent drop-in center. So we have a parent drop-in center that we got funded by the state so that parents who need help can receive services without referrals. And this is mainly
Nice.
for mental health in their children. So we have some of the elected official coming, and a part of me actually wants to invite other people. So the Interfaith Council is coming. So some of the religious leaders are coming too. But I almost want to invite like my dance group or just like some regular people to come in.
Where are you holding the event?
It's going to be in downtown Oxnard. So we
Okay.
have two locations for the parent drop-in centers, and it's the first in Ventura County and maybe even the state. One's there in Fillmore, which is a rural area, and then another one is, in downtown Oxnard, both high needs area.
Wouldn't some of your dances also be parents?
Yeah, actually a couple of them are single moms, but the same day we have practice. So obviously I'm not going to be conducting the practices. but I don't know. I just feel like I don't want it to be stuffy. I
Yeah,
want it to be a little bit more relaxed. I feel like I'm kind of inviting the same people that would come together anyways in in other circumstances.
well,
So
to make it lighter, couldn't you invite some kids, or would that not be appropriate?
no, we're gonna have wine and beer there.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Sounds like a
had
good time.
an event. Yeah. We had an event last night and it was for the community-based organizations. And I actually like that. I was kind of jealous because my coworkers put it together. They got all the food donated. It was Mexican food. It was really good, by the way. And the community-based organizations came. So it was very light. Everybody was just talking, after they talked about how this was a good idea and they are going to refer a bunch of people to us and they also want to connect with our services. Everybody just sat down and talked stories and ate really good, homemade Mexican food, homemade horchata. They had like a nacho bar. And then they had a toasty something bar where you have those tostitos and you put the like some toppings inside of them and I don't know. I don't know the names for some of the sauces and the toppings, but I was very jealous, to be honest. It was nice. And
You're
so
jealous that you weren't Mexican or what?
no, I'm jealous that it was like so casual and not so
Hmm,
fancy. And like I have to
that's the
take
way
care
to
of the
do it.
fancy stuff. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I'm torn between the world of try to be humble and get together and come down to like an even level and then having to you know cater to the fancy bougie people where everything's kind of
Hmm.
weird and stuffy. It shouldn't have to be weird and stuffy.
You can
Like it
mix the
should
two.
be. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to
That
do. So I'm trying
works
to think
if
of
you can do it right.
yeah but you know I hate to say this but the right people to come and balance it out.
Hmm.
So I know one of the girls that dances with me, she's an attorney. She's great. She's beautiful. She looks like an underwater sea creature. Every time I see her walk, she's got like super long hair that she said that she just can't put it up because it's too heavy. And everything she does is amazing. She's naturally sexy. And I want her to come. Why can you come? Because she's like very intelligent and really sweet and giving too. So do you guys have any ideas of who else I might want to invite that could kind of even it out?
I would say invite my sister, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have a band, live music, or is it not appropriate?
No, it's too small. But hey, musicians. I
Yeah.
know a few musicians
I
I
was
that
know
might
gonna
want
say
to
some,
invite.
come.
there's some grand openings that will, like invite a single, let's say guitar player or violinist or harpist, My daughter played at one of those one time.
How about Tracy Newman?
Tracy Newman.
She's
Yeah.
on Facebook. Um, I think that's her name.
Is she in
Sure.
Ventura?
Oh, well, I think she's in um, greater LA someplace, I'm pretty sure.
Doesn't Kamala live in Southern
Oh,
California?
who?
Kamala
Uh, I don't really know
Harris.
what town she's in.
Yeah, she's not busy at all.
Yeah.
Let me go find Tracy
I'm
Newman.
starting to be very mindful of these events because I'd like to strategize like
I got someone for you, Kayla. Invite Anderson Pack.
oh yeah, Anderson
He'd make a
Pack.
party.
Yeah.
He went to
Um
school in Ojai from
no,
Oxnard.
yeah, he is local. My kid is gonna his dance group's gonna be dancing for him.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a good one. I'll
And
just
he's not busy. His
casually
career
send it
sucks
over.
now. Yeah, send it over.
I'll be like, hey, I know this is random, but we'd love for you to support us.
Hey,
Come
if he
to this
showed
free
up,
event.
it'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, that's a good idea. Let me see if my
Also invite Oscar De La Hoya.
oh,
I put the
is
link for
he in
Tracy.
the area? Hey, but that's another good one. I know some boxers here
There you go.
too.
I put the link for
Maybe
Tracy
some
Newman's Facebook.
MMA guys.
Yeah, let's see. I'm inviting some of my Polynesian friends, like my Samoan friend. I'm inviting him. He's like, yeah, sure. We're also making so we're having like a charcuterie board. You know, the same thing, crudité, charcuterie board.
Yeah.
But we're also I'm also making or getting lumpia and some
Oh,
finger
okay.
foods that are a little bit more fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say do a pig roast.
You know, I wish it was big enough. Oh, thank you, Barry.
By the way, Barry, I watched a weird YouTube video and they mentioned your friend Roz in the video.
Oh,
Yeah,
she
there
has a
was a
lot of
guy.
stuff. She has a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, it was like this guy that had an out of body experience and blasted off into the universe and came back with all the knowledge but couldn't remember it. And then he wrote a mathematical formula for intelligence. And then he sent it to Roz and she said, this has never been published. So he published 2 books on it.
Oh, well, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to find the video and send it. I thought of you when I saw it. I went, oh,
Roz
maybe
knows a
he told.
lot of people. She knows a lot of people.
Yeah, I just I don't see a lot of people writing books on emotional intelligence.
Yeah, well, she wrote the first textbook on it.
Yeah, well, I met the guy who wrote the first textbook on hip hop.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he was an academic out of the Bay Area.
Hmm.
And I went to see if he was a true hip hop artist, and I called him out in front of the whole event as he was wearing Abercrombie and Fitch, which was not a hip hop brand at the time. But he told me I don't know anything about the hip hop culture. I just wrote a paper in college and I published it, and it was the one of the first published academic books on hip hop. And then now it's taught in universities all over the world. You can actually get degrees in graffiti writing and be in the Olympics for breakdancing if you want now. That's a jab at the Australian lady. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was really embarrassing.
Yeah, he was exactly like her, but in male form. But yeah, I think the world is really shifting and changing, and I'm getting really optimistic about all of the information that is starting to coalesce and mesh together, like in the science world and in the artist world and just all over in politics and everything. Everything seems to be just mashing together like a big mashup. Like the head of the RNC is now with the DNC. Like it's just a big mashup of everyone learning things that we never knew because there's so much more information out there. So it might out of the shit might come beautiful flowers, is what I'm trying to say. When things look terrible, that's when amazing things arise. I also watched a interview with the guy who started the figure company. I think it's Brad Adcock is his name, and he's quite inspiring. He's an engineer in aerospace, or I think he was in aerospace, and he's the one creating these humanoid robots. But he seemed like a really good guy, like really hard worker, and really trying to solve these problems from a software standpoint. So there's some good people out there doing good work. Have you seen the new figure robot, Barry?
The new figure robot?
Yeah, figure 2.
No, I don't know about that.
It's a competitor to the Tesla humanoid robot and all the
Oh.
Chinese robots.
I occasionally see little clips about, robotic characters, but I haven't really dug into them very much.
Yeah,
Mostly
that's
prototypes. They're mostly prototypes, aren't they?
they're all prototypes. There's only 2 companies I know, Figure and Tesla, that can scale manufacturing, that have the ability to manufacture at scale.
And they're still going to be
That-
very expensive when they first come out.
Well, they will be, well, that's what they were talking about, is $20,000 is their price point that they're looking for. So if you had $20,000, it's expensive, but if you can lease it for $150 a month and it can make you $50 a month, now it's really only costing you $100 a month.
Yeah, well, we'll let somebody else be the entrepreneur on that one.
Okay. I don't know. A lot of people bought that Cybertruck, which is kind of a prototype that got out there, and it's $100,000, but the advertising is worth over $100,000 just to have it roll down the street. If you put the name of your company on it, it gets so much looks. You're paying for a billboard.
I don't have a company, so it doesn't matter.
Well, you want one? I'll get you one. What do you want? I'll get you an ice cream company. What do you want?
I'll tell you, my main objective in this year is to adapt to the challenge of growing old gracefully.
Well, that's a beautiful company. How much are you charging?
I don't have a solution. That's my challenge. Figure out how to adapt to the challenge of growing old gracefully. I don't think it'll be marketable even if I come up with an insight.
You could do book signings, Barry.
I can sign somebody else's book if you can read my handwriting.
There you go. That'd be a great book signing. You could go to bookstores and sign other people's books. You could endorse other people's books and go meet Barry, buy all the books that he likes at the bookstore, and he'll sign them for you. I don't know if you want to meet that many people, but
Well, it's challenging to. I mean, you have to be. Some people are very good at being social butterflies, but I'm not among them.
you can just grunt as you sign it. You don't have to talk to them. I just think we're only limited by the things that we think we're limited by.
Well, I'm limited by the things that I know that I'm no good at, and there's lots of things that
And that didn't stop the girl in the Olympics.
She was probably a lot younger than me too.
Yeah, but she couldn't breakdance worth shit, but she still got up on the world stage and did it. I admire that. People that know they suck and still get out there and do it, that's even harder to do than someone that's really skilled and talented.
Well, that's what Trump does. He can't do it. He gets out there and does it.
But do they know they suck?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think you have to be delusional to do it, right?
Well, a lot of people are delusional.
Yeah. There's
Knowing your own strengths and weaknesses is sort of important, and sort of knowing what you're good at and wrestling your calling into the world. Some people can do that, many people don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And many people don't have the courage to tell those people.
Yeah.
Because it's all perspective.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you let go of the shame that could come upon you, and then you do something that you're not good at, that gives you the motivation later to get better at it.
I
Or it
hope
kills
so.
you. If you have a brittle spirit, it'll kill you. But if it doesn't, then it gives you the opportunity to see, you'll never be that bad again if you work at it.
Yeah, I do that with my girls, but not at like something like the Olympics.
Right.
Well, also knowing when to retire, when you've aged out of some activity that you once might have been pretty decent at,
Yep.
then you age out of it.
Yeah. But you can't be the best at everything. That's the one thing New York taught me is I thought I was really good at certain things, and then I would meet people because New York gets people from all over the world. So even if you're the best in New York or one of the top of New York, when people from other parts of the world come to these venues and show up, you go, oh my God, I'm terrible compared to this person. This person's amazing.
Yeah, the only person you should be competing with is yourself, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Always striving to improve yourself for yourself.
Yeah.
And then it's an honor to be called, one of the best. That's my opinion.
I think it's just an honor to meet some of the best. That's what I noted. Like I would go to these music shows and I knew these people were way better than I will ever be as musicians. But just to meet them and spend time with them helped me to, just it was just a joy to be around these people that love music that much. I'm gonna read what Sam wrote in the chat. When you are dead, you don't know that you are dead. It's a pain only for others. It's the same thing when you are stupid.
I know that one.
After the DNC this week, I think hope and change. I think we need some of that. I think it's worth it. It has value.
We definitely need change. We definitely need to evolve out of our anachronistic, dysfunctional systems.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the DNC is doing the fake it till you make it thing, and I hope that strategy works.
Well, can I ask a possibly politically incorrect thing to ask at the moment? Okay. And that is a lot of the things that Harris is talking about doing, she could have done more of since she's been in the current administration now, right? So I think that is worth discussing. Like this,
But was there oh, go ahead.
like this issue here in the Middle East about the genocide, whether or not you want the double quotes or not, that's taking place.
She did mention that in her speech, but
yeah, but it was a platitude, Israel's, justified in protecting itself, but yes, we do have to put an end to all of this suffering. It's like, yeah, I mean, anybody can say that, but she's been a position of influence already.
But not to the extent she'll be if she's the president.
Sure, but it's
you still raise a good point.
Then look how America behaved after 9/11. 2 wars, or however many. Yes, 2 wars after 9/11, Middle East and Afghanistan. And,
same thing with Roe v.
we
Wade.
did not set a good example. And the Vietnam War
could have done more about Roe v. Wade, and nothing's happened in 3.5 years. Obama had, the opportunity. He did nothing.
Yeah, well, someone's going to have to do something. The way I'm looking at it, instead of being cynical about all these people that suck, let's build them up to a point where they feel that they can get something done as opposed to being constantly arguing about who should do it. Let's just do it.
Well, that's like collaboration. Let's just collaborate. And you can say that day after day and collaboration doesn't happen.
Well, if
hey,
you want
I'm trying to collaborate.
Yeah.
I'm trying to apply that shit.
I don't think that's true.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I don't think collaboration doesn't happen. I just don't think it's written up in the narrative is not told of what the collaboration was.
There you go.
In other words, if everyone comes to a potluck and everyone leaves, there's no record of who washed the dishes and who brought what meal and who put what away and who, which dish was the best one at the potluck. And you know what I mean? It happened. The collaboration happened, but there's not a record of we're not keeping score is what I'm saying of who is collaborating.
So
In other
did
words-
Kamala Harris actually advocate for some of the things you're talking about, Sam, but did the media not just cover it?
Yeah, good question.
Well, I mean, they're trying to get this ceasefire agreement going in the Gaza thing, and the idea, the proposals are there, but they can't get both sides to agree on a common agreement. There's too much daylight between them.
Wasn't there a lot of oil too in that region? They have to divvy that up.
I don't think Gaza has any oil.
Well, they have fossil fuels. I don't know if it's in the form of oil, but they definitely have fossil fuels in that area.
I don't know what they have.
I mean, there's a lot of resources that are being divvied up right now out in the ocean, and
they don't even have a seaport in Gaza. They've been there for what, 75, 80 years. They don't even have a seaport.
Reminds me of that movie Dune. Resources.
Dune?
Yeah. It's just a movie.
Well, they don't have any sandworms in Gaza either.
Yeah.
So no seaports, no, they have desert, but no sandworms, and they have an ocean, but no seaport.
The sandworms killed as many people.
I didn't watch the movie, so I don't know how many people died of sandworms.
They knew how to avoid sandworms.
Yeah.
They knew how to work with sandworms.
Yes, certain of them did, yes. The Fremen.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Em, do you feel too triggered to talk? Is that why you're typing? I'm just checking in.
Sometimes I get a little ranty, and so I have to tone myself down. I have to hold myself back.
Well, at least you still have passion. One of the things I discovered as you age is your passion dwindles. At least mine.
I'm trying to spark your passion, Barry. Let me know how I can help inspire.
Well, enthusiasm and passion, I just discovered that's this adapting to growing old gracefully, is that enthusiasm and passion sort of dwindle progressively, but measurably. Things that I used to get eager and interested in and passionate about are just like, oh, duh. Been there, done that. Got the trophy.
I don't know. I think you still have passion.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not completely gone. It's just that it's less than I had. There are things that I really would get out of bed in the morning to do that I, no longer feel that compelled to get out of bed to do.
You still do Toastmasters. You still do D&D. You still do these calls on the weekends. Right? There's probably way more in your life that y'all still do, and you maintain it because you have some energy for it.
Well, I still eat, 2 or 3 meals a day.
Yeah, I'm passionate about eating.
Yeah. So.
Especially when I see the food that Kayla posts occasionally.
Yeah. I'm too passionate about eating. I gotta tone down my passion for eating.
As I age, I have the same issue my father had. A sense of smell fades, and so a lot of the enjoyment of food is the flavor. And if you can't detect the flavor of foods, then it just becomes bland. And you still eat, you need the nourishment, but you don't get the pleasure out of it anymore.
Have you ever had a bout of COVID?
Yeah, I picked up COVID for the first time when I was in the hospital. When I had
That I think will fuck up your taste glands and your smell glands.
oh, but the thing is that it was already fading before that. It's just that now, like for example, if I make myself a mixed green salad with all kinds of extra stuff in it, you know, tomatoes and onions and croutons and whatever, and I eat it and I go, I don't actually taste the individual items anymore. They're just they have the texture, but they don't have the flavor. Even if I put, you know, sriracha sauce in my chili, it still tastes pretty bland.
Well, have somebody blindfold you and then bite an apple and bite an orange. Have you done that experiment?
Well, acid you can still that's on the tongue. You can still, I can still taste acid and salt and sweet and bitter.
I always thought that was bullshit because I could clearly tell the difference. But that's the fairy tale people tell you.
But taste and aroma are two different things. There are different. One's in the nose and one's on the tongue. The ones on the tongue, there's only 5 things that the tongue can detect. Umami being the 5th one, the savory. And I never could, like if you put MSG on, which is supposed to be savory, I never got the point of MSG. And there didn't seem to add anything. So I'm not sure if I can even detect savory. Like I would have meals on a timetable, not when I felt hungry. If I wait until I felt hungry, I might wait all day to eat
So
something.
maybe you can eat for texture, not for taste.
Well, eventually you sort of get to the point where texture is the only thing that's sort of left. But that's what I'm talking about, adapting to the challenge of growing old gracefully. What can I still get some pleasure out of that's worth the effort that you put into it?
Yeah. I don't know. That's why I love music. If I didn't have music, I don't think I could be here.
Yeah, and I hardly ever listen to music anymore.
Have you been to a live music venue in a while?
In a while, no. I mean, I've only been to live music venues and it's been years. It's been decades since I've been to a live music venue. Most music I catch is on the radio mainly, sometimes on television or YouTube. But when I would go to visit my brother in Indianapolis in the summer, he would go to these concerts in the local park, you know, local musicians. And I'd go to those with him when he went, but it wasn't a big deal. It's not like I would, you know, get, real kept up about it.
Doesn't Boston have the Berkeley School of Music there?
They do, yeah.
You could go there and see if they have things for the public where they allow you to go in and listen.
Oh, I'm sure they have rehearsals where you can attend. It's downtown, and you got to go downtown for that.
Might be worth it.
Have you thought of mentoring, Barry?
I did do that for a while. I did it online and in person and at the library, but I haven't done that much for, lately. I still do the Fix-It shop. I mean, every Tuesday I go to the Fix-It shop. And here's the thing. I used to get a lot, and especially when I was younger, I'd get a lot of satisfaction out of fixing things. You know, the Frankenstein effect, you bring some dead thing back to life. And I still go to the Fix-It shop, but I don't get the thrill anymore about successfully repairing some item. I repair it. Makes the customer happy, but it doesn't really do anything for me anymore.
One thing I love to do is when I'm in an area where there are very impassioned youth that they just talk freely about things that involve the world. I found that to be so satisfying to just sit there and listen to everybody, and just kind of foresee the possibility of changes, and then also see where they're at with their level of intelligence compared to where I was at their age and my level of intelligence or lack thereof. So I don't know. If I were to give you any bit of advice, although I'm gonna only be 50 this year, then the bad part about almost being 50 is that I feel that my body is going through these changes that I don't like.
Well,
And
that's
my
part of it.
mind is kind of, yeah, my mind is becoming a little bit less tolerant for certain things that I used to be tolerant of, and more tolerant for certain things that I used to be less tolerant of. But one thing that I really enjoy is listening to other people talk about the season of change and knowing that I've gone through several decades of that already.
Yeah. So it's a feature of growing old. It's just that energy levels degrade, physical stamina degrades, cognitive skills, everything degrades. It's a feature of growing old.
You know what I surprisingly have tolerance of now, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Because of working with children and mental health and seeing lots of cases of child abuse, I'm beginning to actually become a lot more tolerant of seeing those cases live and reading about them. They're still very, very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice to be able to get to the point now and say, okay, where was this failed? Where was that failed? Where can we improve on this? Like, who can I talk to that could potentially make a difference? Who are the right people to like up the chain of ladder? And I know I said that backwards, but it's really very surprising because now I can watch like an entire court case where they show videos and it's awful. And I have still the same level of empathy for the victims, but I can stomach it now.
Yeah. You grow
So,
jaded. You become inured.
huh?
You know, there's so much suffering, and you become inured and jaded to the phenomenon of ubiquitous suffering.
But I feel like it's now I'm in a position to be able to really help, because before I couldn't, and in certain degrees I can't with animals right now. I'm starting to become a little bit more involved with, animal rights. And I'm still not there yet.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful thing to actually kind of go through the seasons and know that, at least from my perspective or where I'm at right now, to know that it comes and it goes.
Yeah.
And, I've got some wisdom to impart now, if anyone cares to listen. But it's nice, even in my position as a dance instructor, to just be able to sit down. I'm not dancing anymore, and it's probably part of the reason why my body is deteriorating a lot faster.
Yeah.
But it is nice to finally be able to shed light and say, hey, you guys go on the stage, you guys shine, you guys figure out what improvements that you can make.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to be able to do that. So I hear you. That's why I feel like your passion in particular probably isn't, I don't know you, I not in your body, I don't I don't know, but from what I hear, I think you're all right, Barry.
Well, I mean, for my age, I'm doing pretty well. Most people my age are not doing as well as I am. But there are also people my age and older who are doing a lot better than I am. So,
Oh, I had a great conversation with my father. This is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Not last week, though. I was really tired last week. My father's health is deteriorating. He is in his 80s. And he has to walk now with a cane. Like, he gets tired all the time. He is not as coherent as he used to be, but his intelligence is still there. How I personally know as his daughter is every time I walk in the room and he insults me, I know he's got all of his faculties there, however bad it may be. But what I've noticed is that he's very frustrated because he was telling me nobody listens to him. Nobody understands him. It's because he talks rather slowly. He can't form sentences as fast as he used to. He certainly can't articulate as best as he used to. And it's frustrating because for all that he was a jerk when I was a lot younger, he was highly intelligent. And it was really nice to be able to just sit down and listen to my father and just kind of let him go through his delayed speech, without interrupting him. And then if need be, I would sort of finish his sentences. And it was wonderful. So kind of observing the whole thing, it reinforced my decision to be a better listener, because he explained to me, he's like, you're the only person who listens to me. And he goes, everybody else goes, huh? What? He's all like, my mom said, no, that's not true. I mean, people want to visit you and talk to you. And he's like, yeah, but they go, huh? What? And I realized that it's because most of the time, and I know my parents' friends, they're not as intellectual as he would like them to be. I know nobody's really listening to him. And it's sad because he just often sits there sad and lonely. And I almost feel like, hey, that's the suffering of a lot of people, but more so the elderly.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think every Sunday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to visit my dad. I know there's going to be good days and bad days. There are going to be days where like he'll piss me off because he loves doing that. And then days where I'll have this wonderful conversation with him. But it kind of opened my eyes to, I think a lot of people suffer from that lack of, acknowledgement, to be seen, to be heard.
Yeah. Feeling invisible.
Yeah.
Or you no longer have your oar in the water. You're just going along for the ride, but you're not contributing to the propulsion.
When he does talk, what does he talk about?
Well, we are talking about my childhood. And well, actually, he was talking about my job. He was asking, well, what do you do? And then I told him, and they were very impressed. And he just kept saying, how come you didn't do that when you were a lot younger? And it was really nice to explain to him because, look at me, I'm 49, I'm overweight, I'm stressed out, tired. And I couldn't do what I did in the past, which was dance. I said, imagine if I waited till I was, I had a million houses and all this money and stuff. And imagine if my life was flip-flopped. I wouldn't have been able to have the experiences that I had. And so we were talking about that. We were talking about, the choices that young people make that they can make these days. The choices that I wish for my children and that I've given them. Hey, if you want to take like a year off and not go to college right away, go for it. If you want to study abroad, I will pay for that. You do it. Because youth, it's celebrated, but I feel like it has to be kind of timed too. So it was nice to be able to express that to my dad and him go, oh, okay, that's why you didn't listen to us. And we were also talking about change, that's obviously he grew up in a time where he had to, take care of his family, and he felt like he had to prepare for some type of war that might be coming because that was what he lived in his youth. And so I had to explain to him, it's different now. You know, we don't really have to worry about that yet. So he was very interested in kind of the process of what the younger generation is going through.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a contribution to society right there. And that's what Polynesians, you know, when I was hanging out with you know, my Polynesian family, it was really nice to be able to engage conversation with the elders and discuss that. And that to me was a huge contribution as a young woman. Now, I would never say that to my parents because I know it would really kind of break their heart, because it was a time in our family's life where I was absent. But that's what I was doing. And so I hope that, you know, my dad and the older generation realize that you are contributing to society. You just unfortunately may not know it until somebody actually says it to you.
When you
You want
grew,
to say something, Sam? Go ahead.
yeah, thanks. When you grew up, did you grow up in a multi-generational environment with your grandparents and other grandparents around?
Yeah, but my grandparents never really, um, yeah, they weren't really involved with us. But yes, I did.
Did they interact with your parents though? Was there at least that connection at that gap, generational gap?
Yes, they interacted with my parents, but it was more of a kind of it was a strange interaction.
My parents are turning 92 this year.
Hmm.
And for about 4 or 5 years now, I've Zoomed with them, or actually now it's Apple FaceTime every Saturday. And just to, stay current on my mom's hip, my dad's heart, his hernia, his blood pressure. And they get to, talk about how disappointed they are in me. But it's a chance to connect every week.
Yeah.
Where are they disappointed?
I don't have a PhD, I'm not retired yet. I haven't written books. My kids haven't gotten PhDs. There's a whole litany of things.
So, well, interestingly enough, I mean, I academically outperformed anybody in my family, and it never really, I mean, they were not unhappy about it, but they weren't thrilled about it either. What it really meant is that I was going to move away from home and start my career, at some great distance from where my nuclear family lived. So we see them a couple times a year.
But it's awesome that you can actually do this in person, Kayla. You see, I have to do it via Zoom or FaceTime.
Yeah.
To actually visit them. Him. I assume your mom's there also or not?
Yeah. My mom is there.
Mhm.
What's even more awesome is I feel like my whole life he was disappointed in me. And now it's kind of like the respect is kind of there now.
Mhm.
Like now that he understands what my decisions are, because I feel like my parents were kind of waiting with bated breath when I would grow up. And I'm not quite grown up yet, but I feel like I'm getting there. And to be able to let them know the reasons why I did certain things. And them acknowledging, okay, that probably was the best decision for you. That's huge. It's too bad that most parents feel like they're very disappointed in their children without just letting them be and loving and supporting them. But that's thankfully has sort of kind of changed.
Much in part because you've been very conscious and intentional about this.
Yeah, well, there's a point where I wasn't.
As have
That
us.
to me is collaboration in the family.
Yep.
We could learn a lot from just looking within our family.
This table component
I think we're all quiet. Are we ending the conversation?
Well, this is, I don't have an oar in the water right now. I don't feel like I have anything to contribute.
Well, it is
Oh,
7. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I really enjoyed talking about the other people from the GCC, and I think it would be fun to do a little reunion at some point. I feel like it'd be nice to check in with other people, what they're doing, what's going on in their lives, and see how we can collaborate and help each other.
It's interesting how many I've actually met. It's not a huge number, but at least it's a handful in real life. You know, like I
Yeah,
went to Germany and met with Harry and Tammy and Jaswinder and
Did you meet Heiner?
I just wonder.
what? Yeah, we all
No,
did.
have that name, Jazz Winder.
Yeah, he went to Germany from UK, and then God, the woman who lives there begins with G.
Gertrude.
Gertrude, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, she hosted us
I just thought
for a
about
couple of
her.
days. Yeah, and then I met Doug in Florida. I met Kayla. Kayla's visited here, and probably a few others.
I've just met you, Josh, and Tyra. And Tyra's my girl now. I love that woman.
That's the Los Angeles Tyra, not the New York one.
Yeah.
She's living celebrity life in Hollywood, it seems.
She is living the life and she loves it.
Yeah.
It's
Good for her.
Mhm. Well, her ex really loved her. He never gave up on her. I think that was cool. We'll see.
Yeah. He really loves her. It's so nice.
Mhm.
He's coached my son, by the way, a couple of times for acting.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He's really good too. He got my son to cry, you know, in a good way. That was the one thing he said when they were done with their coaching session. He's all, I got your son to cry. He was like, and I was like, it's a good thing, right? And he was like, yeah. So he told me the process of that. So my son coaches with him for very difficult scenes because we know that Vernon is good with that.
That is
Right
awesome.
on.
By the way, I got offered a small part.
You take it?
My son's going to be in a film, and the director asked me if I had wanted to be his mom in the film because they were looking for somebody, and they just need somebody to deliver one line.
Mhm.
I was like, sure. So I'm excited about that.
Do you get your SAG card, Kayla?
Oh, yeah. No, not yet. That's expensive. It's like $3,000. Maxwell's almost he's very close to getting his SAG card.
Is that a
I don't think I
lifetime
want
thing?
mine.
Or is that per
Huh? I'm sorry.
is that per year or is that lifetime?
Well, you pay, your initial payment, and then you have to do your dues every year. It's not much, to be honest. The initial payment's a lot, though.
Mhm.
And then you get a lot of benefits with it. You get like health insurance, 401k.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
they
say it's really
really,
worth it.
yeah.
Like my
But
friend
I
Brooke
already
is
have.
in that industry. She helps people with the union, the SAG union.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, she's
She
been in
works
it for a
for.
long time. The Screen
Okay.
Actors Guild.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Max to get one more SAG part, and then he has to pay.
Well, I hope the movie comes out good.
Is it a
Oh,
is it a
huh?
commercial? It's a
No,
commercial.
no, it's a short film.
Oh,
I think it's like a 1 hour film. Um,
sure.
and he's the lead, so that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. He's also going to be doing some dancing, which is cool too.
Super.
He's on his way.
I hope so. Just kidding. No, I'm not going to be that stage mom.
Well, I don't know if we got any hope coming up, but we definitely got change. So hopefully we have some good changes this year. I'm just trying to help everyone ride the wave of change. I did try out a video platform where you just tell the computer what you want the video to be about, and it grabs all the stock photography and then writes the script and then narrates it for you. So it took me I made a minute video in about, I think it was 2 minutes. It sent me a notification when it was done, and then I could export it. If I wanted to pay, I could get all the watermarkings off. But I thought it did a great job. I did a video on lizards eating crickets. So it, and I said, do make it funny, make it playful, and make it for kids. And I thought it did a pretty good job. So I'm
Oh, what
ex expecting that to get better.
what video
It's
platform is that?
I think it was in video. I think it's called invideo.ai. And they made a iPhone app, so I didn't even have to go on the computer. I just did it right on the iPhone. I just want to test it out and see what it does for the free one. And it all just had watermarks saying I stock photo, but it was all videos of lizards and eating the crickets, and it wasn't perfect, but the prompt wasn't perfect either. So I think that kind of idea is really exciting, to be able to narrate a story.
I think it is. Thanks for
Yeah,
bringing
that's
that
kind
up.
of cool.
Yeah.
There's two things I want to do with that. My daughter, Ronnie, she's produced hundreds, if not thousands, of little anime drawings because she loves to draw. I'd like to
Oh,
take a bunch
cool.
of them and make a movie out of some of those characters. So that's idea number one. Number two, I have some favorite science fiction series and books that have never yet been turned into movies. And I'd love to be able to experiment with, some of those scenes or possibly even create the entire book or series. That would be fun to see. Obviously, other people have this idea as well, but it'd be fun to play with.
No, I think there's room for everyone, Sam. And I think also the other thing that I got really excited about is once the narration is done, then you can run that through for different languages. So I got inspired because I bought Aya this little thing called an automaton, which is shaped like a music note, and it's from Japan. You squeeze the mouth, and it's a synthesizer that when you squeeze the mouth, it opens up the tone. And because we got that video, now her favorite thing to do is says, "Daddy, let's watch automaton videos." So we just go on YouTube, and it's all the music wackiness. But I was blown away at just the automaton alone is over 100 million, more hundreds of millions of views on all these little spin-offs of this meme of this little instrument. And then it led me down a rabbit hole of all the other kooky instruments. So we just bought the Syntheset, which is a little cassette tape size synthesizer. It's just a little board. It's no frills, nothing, but you clip it to a banana and you touch the banana and it makes a synthesizer sound. So you can you can clip it to a fork and hold it, and you can I clipped it to Cusella, clipped it to her, clipped it to me, and we were touching each other playing a synthesizer. So it was I was like $50. I'm like, is this going to be worth it? It's well worth $50 because we've gotten a lot of joy out of it. And the idea of running little wires and connecting it, I put it on a wet napkin just to see if that would work, and it worked perfectly to send the signal. So just the fun of all these new creative instruments that I'm finding. And it's been 3 weeks now, and she's still watching automaton videos. So I'm just watching the weirdest stuff on the internet for kids, and I'm watching her as my test subject to see what keeps her attention, what scares her, what's freaky. And there's a real market out there for these weird little kids videos, because I looked up the top 10 YouTube channels in India, and 3 of them were kids channels with billions of views. So I'm just saying, this is just the beginning, especially when you translate it into random languages. There's a lot of places in the world that are just getting online now. Like if you did it in Swahili or in, some different dialects of Tagalog or different dialects of Mandarin. It's, if you don't just have to do Mandarin, you could do the region that they're in with that nuance, and you might get 50,000 people in some city over in China watching this going, wow, this is really great. And maybe the Chinese government says, yeah, let's promote this. This is really good for the kids. So I'm hopeful that the next 2 generations coming up will not only have fun when they're children, but could learn the things that promote the stuff that we talk about philosophically here at GCC. Mostly because they all have access to storytelling machines that can create their stories, and then they can share it in English, and it could just really, take off from there. I think it's just the beginning of YouTube is just the first big major global channel, but I'm sure if TikTok is, the second, what's going to be the third, the fourth, the fifth? It could be a whole new generation. Go ahead, Sam.
You just reminded me, this could be something I may have just imagined, but I think I saw a short video of a town in the US and a town in China, each with like this massive screen.
I
And
saw
it
that.
basically act like a portal, right? So kids or people in one country could actually talk and interact via this portal. that just looks like, out of science fiction with this place that's thousands of miles away. So do you recall, is this my imagination or did I actually
No,
see?
I saw it. It's true. I saw it. I
Right.
saw the video about it, and
Yeah.
you've seen what Howie Mandel's technology that he's using, this company partnered with, where you have it's a hologram of yourself that he can put himself on stage. So if you imagine these are installed in malls and public squares and different places, private companies,
Mhm.
there will be these weird little portal things where you just walk up and there's a random person
Yeah.
on the other
Yeah.
side.
I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it could be cool to put these in schools too.
Yeah. Well, how cool will it be when it's in your car, when you're just driving your car? Wait, I'm sorry, the car drives itself and you're talking to people in a public bus.
Yeah, I listened to this one vlogger who talks about the Niners. That's incidental, but he's always visiting various different cities. And when he goes to San Francisco, he gets in these driverless taxis and he's sitting in the passenger seat. He likes showing video of the driver's seat, which is empty. Okay. And he's just going various different places. So that hasn't caught on everywhere yet, but it's beginning to catch on. And it's kind of cool to see him using that. But can I change the subject slightly? Actually, greatly.
Nope.
Anybody want to follow up on this one first?
No, go ahead.
That is, since you mentioned China, I've seen a couple of videos now about this rumored purge of Xi Jinping in China and that he hasn't been seen in public for over a week. Anybody else caught wind of this?
No, I haven't heard anything about this.
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether that's actually happening.
Yeah. Well, China's not going to be the same China. I've been watching a lot of videos. The car industry in China, it's Huawei is partnered, and the cars that they're making probably aren't the highest quality, but they're really fun. It's very
Yeah.
Chinese. Like they have screen. Have you seen these cars?
Yeah, and I've actually been following this, and they've overtaken Tesla now as the world's #1 producer of EVs.
Well, Tesla gave them all the technology. He went and built a
Gave everybody
factory
all the
there.
patents. Yes, they
Yeah.
opened all the patents.
And that was the so if you this is why I'm such a Tesla fanboy. It's not Elon Musk that I like Elon Musk. He's fine and everything. And I like some of the people that started Andrew. Anyway, I like the people that started the company even
Yes.
before Elon came.
Yes.
But the mission statement is to accelerate the world to sustainable energy.
Yes.
And if they stay on that mission, which is give all the patents for free to a large country like China, that will it. I mean, it's happening. There's no doubt that electric cars are not going away.
But have they also released the patents on the 4680 battery or the robot that they're working on?
So the latest breakthrough, they bought a company called Maxwell Technology, which is dry cell process for the 4680 battery. And they said just 3 weeks ago they had a big breakthrough in the actual manufacturing with dry cell technology. But if that's true, hello, if it's true that they have that, and there's so many batteries that got made for all the Ford and GM and all these big companies that they're not using right now. So battery technology is just about to take off. I mean, it's really the beginning. Samsung,
Yeah.
it's just starting.
I
So,
mean,
and the
you
charging
know,
stations too.
maybe it's a well-known piece of trivia, but the early versions of the very first Tesla sports car actually used laptop batteries by the hundreds or thousands.
Yep.
Strung together.
Yep. And they still do.
Still.
I mean, they're not technically laptop batteries, but they're what is like 2640s, whatever those little ones. They're in laptops. Those are the same batteries that are in my my Milwaukee drill.
Hmm.
The same batteries that are in my drill are in some of the Tesla cars. I'm just saying it's really exciting to see the possibility of an electric future where PM2 particles and combustible engines are still there, but they don't run, the peaker plants are not run by coal. They're running by nuclear, by solar, by wind. I mean, it's exciting. I'm excited.
But you
I
notice
get
that it
amped up.
was the software ecosystem that really showed how powerful sharing IP via open source could be and what a difference it could make for society. And it was started
Well,
way back 40, 50 years ago.
Well, just to be clear, Elon Musk, when he started the AI company, the XAI, he said he would open source it, and the last two versions he did open source it, and Meta is open sourcing their
Yes,
models. So
that's one thing I
there's
like
going to
about
be
Zuck. Yeah,
yeah.
and
So I'm saying at some point they'll close source them, but in this explosion of change, these open source models, if you go, check this out, Sam. It's called Future Tools, and it's a guy named Matt Wolf. And he's not the greatest, technical guy, but he plays with all the latest versions of everything on every platform. But in doing so, he always said, everyone in AI says this is the worst it'll ever be. But when these huge advancements happen, like this last week with video processing, that's why I use that video one just to see what they're up to. The video processing advancements for Midjourney, Dolly, Sora, all this stuff, they're happening at such a fast rate. If they just open source and forget the patent thing and stop suing each other, the explosion will be astronomical.
yeah,
Like we'll
suing
be
each other would
going to the
take years.
theater.
The state
Yeah,
of the art will be way beyond that, in weeks.
yeah. It's already, for me, the if you haven't watched it yet, there's a music video with two kids going through high school, going through their lives, and it's all done with AI generated, and it's very surreal looking. It's not, normal,
Yep.
but it's
Okay.
fun to watch.
I want to take my face and put it onto Ong Bak and create a movie for myself.
Yeah, I'm saying all these ideas that we always had, that if we only had $500,000 to pay all these, video effects people to do, in 3 years, we won't need that anymore. We'll just pay $50 a month and you can do it, just like Adobe. So the stories that will come out of that, hopefully, are stories that generate thought and culture and push people like our new president, Kamala Harris, to do
And
what she needs to do.
imagine this. We're kind of almost at the cusp where rather than writing books, we can create these multi-branched movies and vignettes that really tell our story along with the text. Where it used to be you could only sit down at a typewriter and produce ASCII text. But now with this, you can produce scenes, you can produce, close-ups, you can produce flyovers, you can produce, passing through walls, you can produce, whatever, scenery and surroundings, and settings that you want to be able to tell your story, as opposed to just crafting 5,000 words as well as you could. It's a very different skill set, but it has potential for maximizing the connection, the connective power of these stories. So
Yeah.
that,
Well,
I think, is worth experimenting with.
well, how about this idea? If you stop the movie, you press the button, talk to the director and the writer of the movie, and then you ask them, because it's now their AI, because someone built a language model around that person's work, their body of work, and all their movies. And can you write me a book that helps me? I'm working on a science fiction movie about so and so. Can you write me 30 pages geared towards my thinking, but with your experience? I think the education factor will just it'll go through the roof. I mean, just like these cars in China.
And imagine the IP violations that are going to occur and are already occurring. Like, for example, I could
But
say, I love Blade Runner, but write me the last 3 minutes in this following way. Okay.
but it's
And
going to be
so,
like Napster. Like you can't
right.
stop it. It won't be. It'll just be so much. Everyone will be tied up in court. While everyone's tied up in court, it'll just keep going on the open source. It's
Yep.
going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, give me Michael Jackson's Thriller video, but let's put the Barry on Michael Jackson's body.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, have you used Grok with Fusion that came out last week?
No.
The new Grok model
I'm doing
uses
expensive parts. That's what I'm doing, Kayla.
okay. Well, just play with some of these image generators, because the Grok one it doesn't have guardrails. So the Dolly has guardrails. I tried to put Jesus and Satan playing cards. It wouldn't do it. But I put Angel and Demon, it will do it. So it's got those guardrails. But on the Grok one, there's no guardrails right now.
None? You can still do things with like children?
No, the only guardrail is there's no pornography You can't do naked stuff. Other than that, you can do anything you want. So, and I do have friends that work in the porn world. You can do naked stuff all day with their models. So those are all open sourced and out there if you want that. But it's really a fun time right now. It'll turn into the dark AI, just like we had the dark web. But the dark AI will always be out there. It's never gonna, you can't stop it now. It's too late. So it's gonna
You
be
have to rethink IP. The whole notion of IP has kept us way slogged down.
I think China kind of the block and clone idea of China, what they've done over the last 30 years has shown that that is what the rest of, I don't know what America is going to do, but the rest of the world, I guarantee in most African countries, they don't give a shit about IP.
Well, we should take that mentality because the rest of the world is doing things much better than we are on a number of fronts. And we think we can't learn from them. We certainly can. We being the US.
Yeah. Well, the younger kids aren't going to care about IP. I've noticed that over the last 20 years. When I see people go, how did these young kids make millions of dollars on the internet? Well, they just did it illegally. And then when they got caught, they already had the followers, so they went and served their time or paid their penalties, but their followers
Depends on
didn't go
who
away.
you know. Google violated IP right and left. Nobody called them on the carpet. And before them, Alta Vista, Yahoo, certain people can get away with it. The rest of us can't.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting right now. I have more tools than I could possibly play with in every arena, from the record AI, the little pendant that sits here and will record all your conversations. If you say, remind me to do this or remind that, it'll give you a list of all your reminders.
Yeah. Speaking of
Tell
which,
so-and-so this.
I got the Rabbit R1 a few weeks ago and still can't figure out what to really do with it.
I've got that one that I bought for Aya, the little Chat GPT-4 robot, and I don't know what to do with it either. So we're learning to program it right now, but that's what we need to do is inspire each other. What do you do with your rabbit? You know, I would stick it on a mount that swivels. Do you have a mount that swivels?
Yeah, but I was distracted by one other thing. How many of you remember, like, what, 40 years ago? Barry, you probably remember the Hero 1 robot. You guys remember that? No?
Hero One, no.
8-bit processor mounted on a robot. It was called the Hero, Hero. I think it was sold by Radio Shack, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
It was a really early precursor to, AI and programmable robotics for the consumer.
remember the Aibo dog, Sony.
Yeah, I think that
I
was.
remember that. Yeah, well, the big rumor is that Apple is creating a one-arm little robot that is mostly just to hold the screen and move it around. But I'm sure there'll be connector pieces over time. That'll be a huge thing for Apple where they connect into that motorized, that, their little motherboard. And that will also take dishes out of the thing or do, but it'll be more like multi-purpose robot arms that
Sure.
they're stationary, but
No,
yeah.
I'll mount it on my head, actually.
I mean, it all sounds so crazy and futuristic and weird, but it's all right here now. Like I have a little, if you buy a DJI swivel, what is it called? You hold the camera onto it. What are those things called? It's got it's a selfie stick with a stabilizer. Yeah, it's got 3 motors in it. So it's 3 axis motor.
Contraptions that,
But they're only $100 now. So there's 3 axis motors. If you stick your camera on that and you put that onto some sort of movable table, it can run around the house with the new Chat GPT 4.0. It's got multimodal features, and Gemini has the same thing with the Pixel. It will tell you what's going on in your house. So you could technically, like I have the little dog robot, it could technically run around the house unnoticed, give you an AI report of who's messing up in your house when you're gone. Like who's not who's not closing the refrigerator and who's not taking out the trash and who's done what.
Video of which of my dogs is actually eating the cat shit.
Exactly. That's For real, it'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds horrible because it's a spy in your own home, but it's a spy that if you open source it to your family and everyone has access to it, then we all know who's doing what. Who's drinking the milk out of the fridge? Come on, mom. What are you doing? But anyway, it's going to be like that. That's the, I don't know if you guys have used the center stage. Do you have an iPhone, Sam?
I do.
If you use center stage, it's really nice when you're talking to your family, because have you noticed how hard it is to follow yourself around when you're moving in the kitchen or trying to talk to someone in your family and they're trying to do the same thing with their FaceTime or Zoom?
Yeah.
To have
You
a
know,
big
it can definitely
screen is
help.
really
I've
nice.
gotten pretty good at, holding the phone exactly in the right position. Yeah.
Yeah, but it gets,
Yeah,
you know,
I
you only
know.
have one hand.
It's something else that helps with life.
Yeah.
All little things matter.
Yeah. I'm just saying the homes of the future will have the cameras built into every angle where you can walk around the house. I mean, I personally already have that because I bought the Google Nest little screen with the video camera, but it's not as easy to transfer from FaceTime calls over to Google. But if
No.
I call them on Google Meet, it works perfectly.
Yeah.
Or if I call them on Apple, I have a lot of cameras hooked up to the Apple. So it transfers pretty well. If you put 3 Apple TVs, which are now at $100 for a used Apple TV, you can put 3 Apple TVs around the house and it will pretty much get every room on a wide angle. So anyway, yeah, prices are coming down, software is getting better, and these multimodal AI models are just now coming out, but I think they'll be, by this time next year, we'll all have them.
Yeah, the nature of our toys just change continuously.
I like it mostly for, I use Aya for this, is like, where did I put that thing? Like, hey, where did I put my glass? Where's my keys? Where's the remote control? Where's that spatula that I had? It'd be nice just to call out to the AI and say, hey, where did I put the spatula? You put it in the refrigerator. Well,
Or tell it
whoops.
to search the house for your cell phone, right?
Well, yeah, all my Apple devices have that little Find My feature. So if I lose my little AirPod, it can find it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be ubiquitous behind the scenes. In 5 years from now, we won't even have these conversations because it will just be our lives.
Okay, one last non sequitur. I know we're already past time, but one of the things from the DNC, can I bring it up? It
Yes.
was AOC. How many of you guys heard AOC speak at the DNC?
I couldn't.
I thought it was
What'd
pretty
she
cool.
say?
She talked about a personal story because she's young enough that she grew up watching one of the Star Trek remakes. I forget the one it's called, but it was the one with Captain Janeway, who's a woman captain of Star Trek. And she said her dad got her to watch that because her dad wanted her to see women in positions of command and power and leadership. And she said that inspired her so much that's what she grew up, as a vision for what she wanted to bring into society. I like that story that she told about that impact. Anyway, I'm a fan of AOC. I think she's one of the promising young up and coming leaders of the next generation. So I think she and perhaps others could step into Bernie's shoes or, create bigger shoes.
Well, if you can help her grow up, Sam, that would be awesome because I think she could be a great leader, but she has a lot of growing up to do.
I think she's doing quite well. She's actually remarkable already. But yes, I understand. She does have some more living to do.
I like that.
Well, I think if she can get out into the public sector and work with companies and start to see things from the billionaire's perspective and not just eat the rich kind of stuff and
I think
actually,
she's got a pretty balanced view on it already.
you think so?
I like it. Yes.
Okay.
She's not in her
I just
position
noticed
with ignorance about that.
Well, nobody in her district goes to her rallies. They don't like her where she's from. I'm just letting you know that. I'm sure
Are you
other
sure
people from
that's true?
outside.
She wouldn't
I'm
get
sure
reelected if that's true.
I'm sure that's true. You can go to where what is it, in the Bronx? Where is she from?
Some district in New York, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, go talk to the people in her district.
Can you share some of it right here?
I don't want to because it's a lot of cursing.
It doesn't have to be cursing.
She has not done anything for her district. Much like Nancy Pelosi did jack shit for her district, but she was super powerful in Washington, D.C. It's just the nature of politics. You're over in DC doing all that politicking and you're not taking care of the people back home.
I'll look into that.
Yeah, and it's not just her, there's a lot of problems in New York in general too. But I'm just saying she is not liked where she's from. That doesn't mean anyone else can take her spot because, like, just like my friend ran against Nancy Pelosi, just because you're doing a terrible job in your district, you still hold that power. So it's not easy for someone to come up and take that away from you, especially when you're popular, because it's a
Are you
popularity
talking about
contest.
Jessica Ramos?
No, I'm not talking about Jessica Ramos. I'm just talking New York politics. But New York's a whole nother different animal. At any rate, I don't want AOC to lead the future, but if she changes and gets better, cool. But right now, I don't think she has anything to offer.
Well,
Well,
I certainly have hopes for her, and I think I like what she's saying so far.
hope she continues to grow. That's all I can say. I think she's a bit stagnant at the moment with her view of reality. She's a DC person. She's not a New Yorker, is what I'm trying to say. Well, I'm gonna say goodbye. I think it's 10:22. It's what's it, 1:22 your time, Barry?
Yep. I'm ready for my,
Kayla, good luck on your event. I hope it goes well. You find the balance and good people. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. And yeah, we'll see what happens with hopefully the Democrats can pull it off. I personally, I've given up. I don't care who wins the election. I just, whoever wins, I want them to do good things. And I'm going to do my best to hold them to all these lip service stuff. Let's see what they do to make our lives better in terms of helping the population and not helping their cronies in DC.
I can't believe that's even possible with the Republicans.
I don't know who can do it. I just want someone to do it. I don't know if either one of them can do it either, but it's not going to be good if the economy, you know, if it can't grow, we're going to be in trouble. So whoever does it has to be able to manage the growth of the economy and the global stage and the trade. And I think Mexico plays a bigger part than a lot of people are talking about in terms of Chinese companies trying to deliver goods to America through Mexico and how that's going to play out. I think that's a big growth area, more than even America, is the manufacturing in Mexico. and what kind of tariffs and taxes they're gonna put on that. And bring food prices down and that sort of thing. Because if people can't buy food, that's when they resort to crime. And that's already happening.
I don't see how you can look at the economic performance of red controlled states and territories and think that they have a chance of doing anything at the federal level.
I don't know if the federal level is gonna be the same federal level in the next 8 years. I don't
Look at
think that
what
the,
Trump did the last time he had a chance. Yeah, you haven't seen enough there,
I don't think Trump did anything but just gain power for himself and his cronies.
which obviously
he-
has impact on other policy.
Right, and that was at that time in what was it, 2016, there was one sort of business that was being conducted at that time and power that was being gained by legal lawfare. But I'm saying, what is that going to be in 2026?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm saying the way business was conducted in 2016 is not going to be the way it's conducted in 2026.
I disagree. How do you get 34 felony counts on, falsification of business records, and have that be different, 8 years later? It's not.
I'm saying you can
Or
have all the
rape.
business you
How does
want, but if
rape
no one can buy
change?
your products,
I think you're ignoring certain facts, Josh.
I don't know what you're saying. Where do you think I'm coming from? What do you think I'm saying?
I think you're equating the two parties and saying, though, well, they can equally have a chance at improving things without looking at the past history of what they've actually done.
No, I'm saying the past history is important, but I'm saying the future is different. Does that make sense?
If you think Trump is going to do anything better than what he's already done, I think you're delusional.
If you think Kamala's going to do anything better than she's done, I think you're delusional. I don't think either one of them are going to do better than what they've done. I'm saying they
Okay,
have to do
let's agree
something
to
different.
disagree. I think I find that actually.
Yeah. So let me just be clear with my words. So just so you understand where I'm coming from, I'm not saying they're going to do better. I'm saying they both have to do different. Does that make sense?
That's not meaningful to me.
Okay, but to me as an entrepreneur, the economics of the next 10 years is not the economics of the last 10 years.
That's tautology.
Okay. Let's agree to disagree. If you think that's tautology.
Economics of today is not the same as it was yesterday. That's a tautology as well.
The way you buy a car in 2016 is not going to be the way you buy a car in 2030.
That's also
The
a
way
tautology.
yeah, it's all a tautology.
That's why to me it's meaningless.
The way you buy pharmaceuticals is not the same. The way you buy groceries is not the same. The way you go for entertainment is not the same. Everything is going to be different. The way you fly in a plane, the way you order a taxi, so on and so forth, your day-to-day life, the way you get insurance, it's all changing. The way you put money into a bank and bonds, different.
So if you think they're basically both have to change and do the same thing, are you going to flip a coin in order to vote red or blue?
I don't need to flip a coin to vote red or blue. I'm in California, in a blue state.
You're saying you don't have to vote?
I don't have to vote. I don't have to. That's my legal right. I do not have to vote.
They're choosing not to vote, you're saying.
I didn't say I was choosing not to vote. I said I don't have to. I legally do not have to vote.
Yeah, I didn't mean that in a legal sense.
Yeah. I don't think who you vote for president is going to change what's coming up. I don't think that that's the main factor right now.
Do you think 2016 was a non-event?
What do you mean a non-event?
That Trump got voted into office and it was inconsequential?
No, not at all. I didn't say that.
Really?
I really don't think it was inconsequential. I think what was consequential was the companies that gained power in 2016 and what they've done from 2016 to 2024. That's what's consequential. And we had both the last 8 years. We had a Republican and we had a Democrat. So we've had 4 years of each. And here we are.
Okay,
So,
I think I'll stop here.
Yep, thank you. I think the consequential is going to be what we do in order to continue our economic situation where we don't collapse. That's the consequence. So let's see who can control that. I don't know if it's a Republican or a Democrat. I don't think either one of them are. I think both of them are beholden to the larger entities that are in power that are larger than the president. That's what I think. Do you understand where I'm coming from, Sam?
Possibly, but I think it's now 10:30, so maybe we can carry on some other time.
Sounds good. Barry fell asleep. Good night, Barry.
Ta-ta.
See you guys later. Bye, Sam.
Sorry, Barry. Did I go too far?
Oh, I'm past my afternoon nap time.
Okay. All right. Perhaps see you tomorrow.
All right, yep.
Bye.
Bye.